Hey, what's going on, VC? Joachim here. I hope everybody's having a good week so far. So today I'm coming at you with a quick video. I do have a video on focus on Italian punk rock on the back burner, so that should be coming up pretty soon, if not this week and maybe in the following 2 weeks, because those videos they take a while to put it together, you know. Anyways, so this video, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and not long ago I saw a video that Clifford, the Vinyl Cheapskate, did, which is pretty much the same idea, different take, I guess, different approach. But what I'm showing today, you know, this is, maybe there's some here that flew under you guys' radar, but the big majority of these, they're like pretty well-known records. But the idea here is also to hear what you guys have to say about these records. So these 15 records that I picked, these are records that back then, when these records came out, the big majority of these records were records that didn't appeal to the critics. They didn't get that good reviews. Plus, some bands, they did lose followers because of these records. Nevertheless, you know, now 2024, the big majority of these records are almost held as classics, and a big chunk of them, they've been reissued. So they did something right back then. It was just not well understood, I guess. So anyways, we're gonna start. I wrote down here's, let me see. Okay, we're gonna start with the second album by the well-known British second wave of punk band Brazil Wheels, When the Punks Go Marching In. Absolute classic. Their second album came out on Clay Records in 1984. Black Leather Girl. Well, what do I think about this record? So there's indeed a tremendous shift on the sound here. It does sound to me like for a second they thought into jumping. They thought on jumping on a new wave bandwagon, but then they realized, fuck that. That ain't punk. And they stick to a punk sound and attitude. However, the lyricism, you know, shifts as well. It's almost like a young punk grows as age comes along, and he realizes that there's more to life than fucking just getting wasted, breaking shit, and be mad at the world. So there's songs such as Maybe Tomorrow, you know, Sea of Madness, The Prisoner, Drummer Boy, songs that have like a more like a message of hope instead of a nihilistic approach. I think it's a fantastic record. It's full of rockers. Here, Maybe Tomorrow, great song. 19, great song. Devil on My Shoulder. Yeah, it's great. But let me know what you think. I think the critics, yeah, they didn't know what they were listening to at the time. Crazy Wheels. Next one up. This came out on EMI 1981. Third album by the Cockney Rejects, Power and Glory. I absolutely love this record. Of course, it doesn't have the angst, the fury, the energy, you know, as that you can hear on songs such as Bad Man, I'm Not a Fool, Police Car, all that. Here is mid-tempo approach, but it's so damn well played, so damn anthemic. Songs such as The Power and Glory, Because I'm in Love, On the Run, Friends, Teenage Fantasy, The Greatest Story Ever Told. Yeah, just a fantastic record in my opinion. Still to understand, you know, what made the critics and the fans at the time stepping away from this, this is absolute classic, as we know. A record that is actually a debut, but this record managed to be overshadowed by a single. I'm talking about Australian Last Words. This is their debut. Their single Animal World. It's a banger. It's not featured in this debut. The production of this record, I gotta say, is a little bit thin, but man, this is a fantastic record. I don't get it how this record, you know, got forgotten. So fantastic. Listen to songs such as My Streets on Fire, Walk Away, Top Secret. This is great. White Rabbit. This is a fantastic record. Check it out. I know not many people, you know, most of my friends or acquaintances, you know, where we share similar music taste, and most people actually introduced them to this record. They were not even aware. They thought Last Words, they put out that single and vanished. No. Fantastic. This came out on 1980 on Vineyard Productions. Yeah, check that out. A record that came out in 1987 on Armageddon Music. Man, this record came out 6 years after one of the most, and rightfully so, acclaimed Southern California albums. I'm talking about Adolescence, Bratz Battalion. This is such a phenomenal record. It's not the self-titled. It's not the Blue Album. It's not. Actually, it's not even comparable because the sound is different. But man, I absolutely love this record. Tell me what you think about this. I cannot be the only one thinking that this is a masterpiece of early, well, mid-80s Southern California hardcore, punk hardcore. Fantastic. Love this record. Another record came out in 1985 on Enigma Records. Doesn't get as much love as the debut. Rightfully so, because the debut is a banger. Talking about Fear, More Beer. There's no beef bologna here. But man, this is an amazing record. How can you just listen to The Mouth Don't Stop and Responsibility, and that alone not be enough for you to consider this a fantastic record? A record that came out in 1985 is one of my favorite UK82 bands. I've been cherishing this record since the 90s. One thing that I did during the 90s and even the early 2000s, as I didn't have money to pay for, you know, a lot of debuts for pressings, I would just decide, okay, I cannot afford that, but I can afford the second album or the third album, and I would just pull the trigger on those. Sometimes they were, you know, blind buys because I was, you know, there was no internet. I couldn't listen to, you know, to know. All I knew was the band, the name of the band, and the most well-known songs, which will be the singles or the debut. So in a record that back then I pulled the trigger on, thank God I did, and I've been sharing these since then. This came out in 1985 on Rebellion Records. This was reissued. It's one of those. It became reissued. Mau Mau's Fear No Evil. I absolutely love this record. I'm a big Mau Mau's fan. He's one of my favorite UK82 bands. The drumming style of the Mau Mau's is unique, and it's probably my favorite drumming style. It's like when I hear a band that the drums really stood out for me, Mau Mau's is that band. The drums does you know, stand out for me. Love this record. It's not as fast-paced. The songs are not as short, a little bit longer, but this is full. This is like anthemic UK82 with a dark tone, but this is fabulous. Love this record. Check songs such as Step Across the Border, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Promises. They do re-record The Oath here, which is fantastic. They cover Be My Baby. This is amazing. Check this out. If you're not familiar, of course. Another record came out in 1989 on Tank. Their debut came out in 1980... Shit. I think 2 or 3. No, 1983 on Exclaim Records. It is their debut. I don't do top 10s, top 5s. I don't do that because it's very hard for me to do it. I think music has to do with state of mind. It has to do with your stage in life. But a record that when I think about doing a video like of my favorites, a record that for me it is my top 1. It's my favorite American hardcore record. It's by this band. It's their debut. Jerry Kids debut. This is 1989 from 1989 on Tang Records. Of course, is overshadowed by a brilliant, absolutely brilliant, acclaimed debut. But nevertheless, this is a perfect, absolutely perfect 80s US hardcore album. How can you not love this? Torn Apart, Need Some, Bad Trip, Ripping Out Your Tired Eyes, Spy Master. Oh my, this is a banger. A record that is a banger too. Band from Michigan, Lansing, Michigan, 1987. This is their second album. The first album also came out on Alternative Tentacle Records. Is well acclaimed, and this one tends to be left out of the picture. I love this record. I gotta say, I think the debut is better, the production is better, the sound approach is better, but nevertheless, Crucifix, Wisconsin, second album, it's a banger. Just the song Mountain Song alone makes this an absolutely ripper of a record. Not for everyone. If you're not familiar with Crucifix, you might be in for a treat, but go ahead and listen to the song Mountain Song. The record came out in 1988. This band, it's probably on my top 20, at least, best LA bands of all time. And I'm talking about their third full length, Angry Samoans, STP, not LSD. Get it? This is not inside my brain, right? This is the approach here is not the same as They Saved Hitler's Cock. It's not. But this is fantastic. So well produced. It does have the stamp of the Angry Samoans, their humor. It's absolutely brilliant. But I read bad reviews on this album. Check songs such as I Lost My Mind, Wild Hog Ride, Egyptomania. Yeah. Let yourself go, man, with STP, not LSD. It's a banger for me. A fantastic record here from 1984, Riot City Records. Overshadowed by their debut and by their singles. A band that had a peculiar sound. I'm talking about the Ejected. The ones from If You Got 10p. So this is their second album, Spirit of Rebellion. This album is fantastic. It's not that sound that the Ejected had on the early stages in the recording of The Touch of Class. It's a little bit more, fast-paced. But man, it's a banger. How can someone that reviews punk rock and listen to a record with a song, young punks go for it, and dislike it. No, you can't. Banger. Check it out. These are all bangers. But the critics didn't like them. Fantastic album. I love this. This came out on Circle Recordings. This is from 1985. This is the third album from the Dutch band Ivy Green. All on the Beat. Their debut is a fantastic album. You cannot compare this to the debut. This literally sounds like Ivy Green spent the years between the debut till this release listening exclusively to the Saints. All they did was exclusively listening to the Saints. They had saxophone in here, they had horns in here, but this is amazing. I absolutely love this record, and I strongly recommend you to give it a go, give it a listen, and if you see this, most likely, I assume, I've been having this for ages, so I have no idea how much this will cost, but I assume it will be dirt cheap. Yeah, Ivy Green, All on the Beat. Yeah, another one that didn't make the cut for the scholars of punk rock. Fantastic. Another one, I know I showed this one before. I tried to show records that I didn't show before, but this one I know I did. One of my early videos. The Infants on Panache Music from 1983. Infants, they were Infant Riot. Here, what they delivery is like UK 82 on Infant Riot style, kind of mid-tempo, anthemic. But man, they embrace like this dark wave, these goth elements. Absolutely love this record. Listen to songs such as Sound and Fury, Punch the Air with Glory, These Dangerous Days, Birds and Bees. It is an absolutely classic here. Another one that, man, I didn't want to do this, but I'm going to have to. Not having music in the background tricks my OCD. In 17 minutes, man, I thought I was going to be able to wrap this up in 10. Sorry. Anyways, 1984, their second album, totally overshadowed by their first EP. First EP, absolute classic. First EP, Kill for Christ. Hailing from Boston, the FUs. But this is a banger. Their first album, My America, I prefer this one over their debut. This Is Me, and I think as a result of that, this one not being a debut, it tends to be forgotten, but this is a perfect album of American crossover from the mid-80s. This is a banger. One of my favorites, Hailing from Boston, for sure, during that era. A record, again, a lot of these records that I believe I said in the beginning, most of you love these records and see these records as fantastic records, but that's not the point. Back then they were not seen as, and still till this day there's a lot of people that, you know, disregard these records. Third album from a classic hardcore band. This is, for me, my favorite album from that crossover era. I'm talking about DRI, Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, Four of a Kind. This came out after the second album, Crossover, that's when they full-on embraced the trash core sound. Trash Zone, I think, is a great album, even though that's another one that the critics didn't like it. But man, this is a record for metalheads, punk rockers, skate kids. This is absolutely perfect album. This came out on Metal Blade. A banger. Let me know what you think about this one. And last but not least, a record that when I hear people saying, I don't like it, it does piss me off. It does piss me off. Because how can you like Dead Kennedys and do not like their last album. It doesn't sound like fresh fruit from rotting vegetables. It doesn't sound, but this is a banger of a record. And I tell you, listen, take this job and shove it. Listen to Do the Slag. Listen to, what is it? Where are you? There's so many. Ramboza the Clown. I cannot see shit even with the glasses, but I know Hoppy the Jet Set's got to be here too. So many great songs. Plus, he has my favorite Dead Kennedy song, Chicken Shit Conformist. Man, check that song. Chicken Shit Conformist. If you're familiar, great. You know how great it is. If you're not familiar, just listen to that. Listen to the full lyrics, because it is Biafra giving you a sermon. But that's the song that those damn critics that showed no appreciation and pushed fans away from these records when these records came out should be listening 24/7, you know, as punishment for their nonsense. You guys take care. I'll come back at you soon. Cheers.